I call the February 4th, 2019 Belvidere City Council regular meeting to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Borowitz.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Alderman Crawford will be absent. Frank. Here. Freeman. Here. Porter.
Here.
Ratcliffe.
Here.
Sanderson.
Here.
Snow.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
9 present.
Please stand for pledge of allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for your presence and guiding hand as our City Council convenes this evening. The recent severe cold presented challenges to all, and we are thankful our community has emerged with only minor damages. Many acts of neighborly kindness helping those most in need are a positive symbol of the Belvidere community's faith and trust in you and in one another. We are especially grateful for the tireless efforts of our city departments, Public Works, Police, and Fire, keeping us safe and helping us with our challenges all through the storm and frigid temperatures. Aid us in always putting the needs of our people ahead of our own, and thank you for the blessings we enjoy every day. Amen. Welcome, everyone. A special guest tonight, Susanna Strangmeyer from ComEd, is just here to observe. We have Alderman Stevens has asked to speak a little bit about Comcast. Alderman Stevens.
Yeah, last Monday I was at the end of my driveway, slipped and twisted my back, so I didn't come to the meeting, but I watched it on Comcast. A couple things I noticed is you got to turn the volume way, way up on your television to even hear it. And then I noticed that quite a few people weren't using their mics, so I was in the dark on what was going on about most of everything. So you don't get to hear what's happening if we don't use our mics, so.
Good point.
Yeah, I also noticed today I turned my television on and the county's feed was up there, and they have the same problem of you got to turn the volume way up. I'd talked to a lady a couple of years ago at Comcast and didn't get much of a response out of her about the problem, so I don't know if we can do anything about it or not.
It's really this room and our system that's the problem. And you're right, when you look at the county one, it's kind of eerie. It's kind of dark and you can't see faces. So we're working on that as we can work on it.
Actually, the issue is not on this room's end as far as the volume goes. Our feed comes out actually out of the little network room behind the mayor's office. And the feed going out is fine, so I'll contact Comcast. We had a problem with that many years ago, and they kind of rectified it on their end. So I'll get a hold of them again and check on that. As far as the microphones, yeah, you got to use them. And you've heard me say that every once in a while from time and again. Because that's the biggest complaint I get when people call is, I can't hear the alderman because they're not using their microphones. The Boone County board meetings are actually on our channel. So they don't have their own feed.
It's even worse.
Right.
Okay.
So they have an issue on their end because their system is not even as well, not as good as ours because it's not a direct feed. And quite frankly, they haven't given me any new meetings to put up since September of last year, so it's very old.
Okay. Alderman Snow.
And just a heads up, unfortunately, you and Mr. Drella do not have the microphones close enough to you, and that's a lot of times why most people can't hear what you guys are saying.
I don't wonder. Is it because mine was turned off? I mean, what? Okay, good observation. Can everybody hear me? All right, let's roll. Number 4, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of Belvidere City Council, January 22nd, 2019 is presented. May I have a motion to approve? I have a motion, Alderman Sanderson, and a second. Alderman Porter seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
When your name is called.
Okay, when your name is called. I'm not in too much of a hurry to get out of here tonight. Go ahead.
Borowitz.
Abstain.
Brooks. Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
8 in favor.
Minutes are approved. Under public hearing this evening, we have none. Under special messages and proclamations, I want to reiterate and thank the city departments for the work that they did getting us through this storm, because it was a challenge. And I think I mentioned this to you, but this was in the Register Star last week, that they wrote a whole column, kudos to Belvidere, about the land bank and us being the first ones to unanimously adopt the land bank and so forth. So you don't see that very often, so that we get praise from the other side of the world. Yes, ma'am.
I had a request from a constituent after the snowfall that we had, like 2 in a row there, about the parking and not being odd or even, and her having nowhere to park. And I told her that I would ask for it to be put back on the agenda just for discussion to revisit it. Brent did tell me that it's probably a
Starter.
yeah, but I told her I would have it put on, so if we could do that, that'd be great.
Please make a note that Alderman Freeman mentioned call from constituents to talk about our parking scenario. Thank you. Approval of expenditures, we don't have any this evening. Committee reports and minutes of city officers, please note that items A and B have been received and placed on file, which brings us to item C, minutes of Committee of the Whole, Public Safety and Finance and Personnel of January 28, 2019. May I have a motion to approve? Motion by Alderman Borowitz, second by Alderman Frank. Questions, comments, proposed amendments to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Brooks.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. Under item 9, this will be tabled because we don't have the information we need to go forward on it. Motion by Alderman Sanderson, second by Alderman Ratcliffe. All those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is passed and the ordinance 443H, second reading, is tabled. This brings us to number 10, new business. First up, we have a couple of first readings, which are typically silent readings, but I'll read them into the record for those folks watching at home, and I'll try to speak up. Ordinance 448-4H, a first reading, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain personal property, being police department vehicles and seized vehicles. B, ordinance 445H, a first reading, an ordinance amending section 10-36, hours of operation of the City of Belvidere Municipal Code. And that brings us then to motions forwarded in Committee of the Whole, Public Safety and Finance and Personnel of January 28th, 2019. Since Alderman Crawford is not in attendance this evening, Vice Chairman Borowitz will present the motions. Vice Chairman Borowitz.
All right, thank you. Motion to approve a financial investment of $10,000 to support Behavioral Health Task Force and identifying appropriate grants to address the community needs. These grants will focus on public safety by bringing federal dollars in to enhance our criminal justice, local law enforcement, and court systems.
Motion out of committee. Questions, comments, further discussion? Alderman Snow.
Well, on the surface, this seems like a really great idea, and it seems like, oh, we ought to have another task force. But to me, it's just another bureaucracy we're just creating, throwing money at it, and I'm not a big fan of it. I think we've already got stuff in place. They're constantly coming up with things to do and not do, and to be quite frank, I'm not a big fan of expending this money, and I'll be voting no.
Okay. Alderman Sanderson.
Well, there's no doubt that, I agree with Alderman Snow in that we try to keep our prices down and things like this, but this is a epidemic that's happening all over the country. Even our president's asked people to step up in our local communities and state. I think, and I'd like to maybe be clarified by maybe the police department or other people in the administration, that this is to help with grants to help with federal dollars to enhance our criminal justice and local law enforcement, and maybe some type of a savings to us in the, to help us enforce that by getting grants. Maybe you could expound on that? Your Honor?
Well, when Amanda was here, this is part of the endeavor by the opioid roundtable community health task force that's been going on for a couple of years. And this particular portion, she highlighted that these monies would go after grants specifically that help with training with police officers and help with better staffing with the court system and approaching the court system on what do we do with folks that have opioid overdose problems, et cetera. Locking them in jail doesn't seem to help. And so the whole idea is to find a community solution through a variety of number of steps involving the entire community and the different organizations in the community to deal with this problem in a different way than it's been dealt with before because it hasn't been successful. She also pointed out that percentage-wise, Boone County has the highest level of overdoses per capita in our region, or is it even bigger? Yeah, in our region. Shauna has been attending all of these meetings. I go when my schedule permits. This has been something that's been talked about and vetted for over a 2-year period of time. And while you're right, people come to us and ask us for money all the time, there are certain initiatives, I would agree with Alderman Sanderson, there are certain initiatives in the community that are community focused on community health. We have a real big problem. Was just a couple of weeks ago, I forget whether it was police or fire, it took several vials of Narcan to bring the person around, and that's not unusual. It doesn't affect just people trying to get high or whatever. People hurt, and with senior citizens, it's becoming more of a problem because when you go to the doctor and you hurt, they give you something to make the hurt stop. And with seniors, they sometimes don't keep track of their medication as well, and they may end up with prescriptions of opioids from different doctors. And so it's really something that hits every level of the community, from young people to older people. So I thought Amanda made a great presentation. This money will be used to help secure grants, to pay for the hours for the grant writers at Region 1 to pursue these grants specifically.
For hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants. So yes, this money will be used for the grant writer to apply for grants that will get us hundreds of thousands of dollars for our area.
Yes, I appreciated her presentation when she was here, and I think this is an excellent idea. It's a good investment for $10,000. You know, it's not another parking lot, but it's a great investment for the city of Belvidere and the kids of Belvidere and the adults of Belvidere. So I think it'll be, for 10 grand, you can't go wrong, I don't believe. One good grant would handle
Alderman
that.
Sampson.
And as Dixon's counselor, you know, I don't want to go through the whole meeting again, but some of the highlights were that, you know, there's people that never abused any street drugs in their life that get addicted to opiates because, like you said, they're doctors and stuff like that. And the biggest, you know, place for people that, and also there's, you know, this is going to help, I think, with the mentally ill, help guide them to the right places too. We have a lack of services in our area. We have, and you know, there's a lot to be done, and it affects everybody in the community, whether it's someone personally in your family, someone else that's under the influence. You know, our jails get filled up with people that we should have room for other places, and I don't know if the chief would have anything to say about that, but in the fire department, you know, I mean, they probably had to go on calls all the time that people don't talk about it, but it affects everybody's life. So I think it's well worth it, and you know, we could see if it works or not, and cut it out later, I guess, but for now, I think we should see how these grants come in, and if, like Shauna says, we get $100,000 worth of grants for an investment at 10%.
And she didn't come to just us. The county has already agreed to give her $10,000 more than their typical budget. She's going to the townships, she's going to the healthcare providers here, so she's making a tour. And I think it helps her effort if the city supports this.
And one of the things that really, I always look at is, I feel we pay plenty of county taxes, and that's a county thing, and I brought that up right away. And it made me more reassured that she said she's going to all the municipalities and the townships and everywhere else, so that it's not just Belvidere paying out, but, because I think we help the county out by having our own police department and everything else, so.
Ms. Freeman, did you have a comment? No. Okay. Anybody else wish to comment on this? Hearing no other comments, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
No.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
8 in favor.
Motion is passed. Would you please confer the news to Amanda? Thank you. Alderman Borowitz.
B, motion to waive the bidding process for the purchase of SCBA bottles for the Belvidere Fire Department.
Motion out of committee. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Need a motion and a second because we're going to ask to waive the bidding requirement. I have a motion from Alderman Snow, second from Alderman Porter. Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Okay, the motion is passed.
C, motion to approve the purchase of SCBA bottles for the Belvidere Fire Department for $25,020. This is a budgeted fiscal year 19 capital expense.
Motion out of committee. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Vice Chairman Borowitz. Next up, we have motions of finance be presented by Chairman Ratcliffe. Chairman Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Mayor. D, motion to approve the purchase of Barracuda Web Security Gateway 310 and 3 years of updates and instant replacement from Entree Computer Solutions for the sum of $5,924.08.
Motion out of committee. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Chairman Ratcliffe. Appreciate it. Next up, we have motions of Public Works. Chairman Brooks will present those motions. Chairman Brooks?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. The motion to approve ComEd customer work agreement in the amount of $10,140.23 for the installation of 4 LED streetlights on the existing utility poles along Tripp Road adjacent to the Sager Plant Number 3 subdivision. Becknell Industrial, the developer of the Sager Plant Number 3 subdivision, will reimburse the city for this cost.
Motion out of committee. Question, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Borowitz,
Aye.
Brooks,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Sanderson,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously.
Motion F, Mayor, is to waive the bidding process for purchase of 364 filter fabric screens for the wastewater treatment plant.
We'll need a motion and a second for this, and we need 8 votes to pass it because we're going to waive the bidding. May I have a motion? Borowitz has the motion. Ratcliffe has the second. Questions, comments, or further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Stevens,
Aye.
Borowitz,
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks, Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Sanderson,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously.
And motion G, Mayor, is to approve the purchase of 364 filter fabric screens from the Viola Water Technologies, parentheses, Kruger Parent Company, end of parentheses, at a cost of $52,423.28. These screens will be paid for from the sewer depreciation account.
Motion out of committee. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Alderman Freeman.
Yeah, Brent, are these screens have to be periodically replaced, or is this something that's come up unexpectedly in your budget, or did you pretty much know they were getting due to be replaced?
The life expectancy is usually 8 to 10 years, so we're getting right into that ballpark. So because it's a depreciation expense, you won't see it specifically budgeted for. It just comes out of the depreciation fund or savings account that we use for these kinds of things. So we can do it over a gradual period of time. We'll do the worst ones first. But we'll, as far as the dollar amount goes, we're basically going to do one vessel per year over a 4-year period.
Alderman Sanderson.
Just for Brent too, okay, so we waived the bidding process, and since Alderman Freeman, wondered about, periodically, why do we have to waive the bidding process for this if you know that we have to replace these periodically?
Because the screens are proprietary, so there's only one company that manufactures them, so we only have one spot to go to get them.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Borowitz,
Aye.
Brooks,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Sanderson,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Chairman Brooks. Under 11, other, since Midland Bank has replaced Alpine Bank, they have a little different way of doing things. So A is a motion to waive the committee requirement pursuant to Section 2-88 of the Belvidere Municipal Code as it relates to Midland States Bank letter of credit for underground storage tanks. May I have a motion to approve? Motion by Alderman Ratcliffe, second by Alderman Freeman. Questions, comments? Alderman Snow.
Could somebody explain what this really is?
Ms. Tobin.
Yeah, I'll start. So we have underground fuel tank storage systems. That we have tanks at the wastewater treatment plant. We also have tanks at the street department. So we are required through the Illinois State Fire Marshal's office to carry liability coverage, insurance coverage for those installations. So in years past, we go through the insurance process, and that's the paperwork that you find in your packet. For the financial security end, we go through the insurance company to do that. Midland States Bank would like a resolution done in support of their letter of credit as our assurance as part of that insurance package, which is why you have it before you tonight. It's an annual expense. It's an annual policy. It's due in February of every year. Like I said, in years previous, Alpine State Bank did not require the resolution for support, but Midland does.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Brooks,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Sanderson,
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously, which leads us to Part B, the Resolution 2089-2019. It's a resolution to approve the letter of credit from Midland States Bank for the fuel tank environmental $1 million liability insurance policy. This policy renews February 13, 2019. May I have a motion to approve? I have Alderman Brooks, motion, Alderman Borowitz, second. Questions, comments, or further discussion? Yes, Brent?
And just one additional, the cost and the expense of this is built into the rates that we charge back for all the departments using the fuel.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ratcliffe.
Aye.
Sanderson.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Borowitz.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion, or the resolution is approved unanimously. Which brings us to number 12. I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Alderman Sanderson, Alderman Porter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are now adjourned. Be careful getting home. It's getting a little